Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Zion Dew this morning. Thank you for joining us on this Thursday, Teaching Thursday, where we continue our journey talking about wisdom. Last week we were talking about valuing wisdom or treasuring wisdom. And today, possibly along the same theme, the whole aspect of just lifting up our voice where wisdom is concerned. Our text has been the book of Proverbs, and we're in the book of Proverbs chapter 2. And it says, the Passion Translation says, yes, cry out for comprehension and intercede for insight. Cry out for comprehension. I think the New King James talks about discernment. Cry out for discernment and intercede for insight, or intercede for understanding. It says, for if you keep seeking it like a man would seek for sterling silver, searching in hidden places for cherished treasure, then you will discover the fear of the Lord and find the true knowledge of God. When you read through the book of Proverbs, Proverbs keep emphasizing the fact that we need to pursue wisdom. We need to cry out for wisdom. I love the word the Passion Translation uses. We need to intercede for wisdom. There's a part where the Bible says that if any man lacks wisdom, this is the book of James chapter 1, let him ask of God who gives to all men freely and withholds not, and he shall be given him. There's that part of just praying for wisdom, and not just praying once, but continually interceding, continually chasing after, continually pursuing. And when we pursue wisdom, when we chase after wisdom, when we cry aloud for wisdom, then wisdom will respond to us. Wisdom will answer that cry or answer that desire of our hearts. The New King James Version says, if you cry out for discernment and lift up your voice for understanding. We lift up our voices this morning and we ask God, give us understanding. One of the things about understanding is what the Bible says in the book of 1 Chronicles chapter 12 verse 32, where it talks about the sons of Issachar who had understanding of the times and the seasons. That word understanding, and they knew what Israel ought to do. And for us as a community, that whole aspect of knowing what we ought to do at a time like this is becoming increasingly critical. But notice it is built on understanding. And the Bible says here, lift up your voice for understanding. Understanding is not just something that will be given on a silver platter, but something that we must lift up our voice for. It says, and search for us for hidden treasure, then you will understand the fear of the Lord, and you will find the knowledge of God. So that's the whole aspect of just walking in wisdom. There must be a cry in our hearts. There must be a pursuit. There must be a lifting up our voice. There must be a chasing after, and for wisdom to begin to respond to us. If there's no chasing after, if there's no pursuit, if there's no cry in our heart, then God will not respond, or wisdom will not respond to us. But one particular aspect of wisdom, or one particular aspect of this verse that I want to talk about, is that whole aspect of discernment. The church today has reduced discernment to an intellectual exercise, that we discern things based on, we made it almost like a mathematical equation, that if 1 + 1 is equal to 2, 2 + 2 is equal to 4. But I believe that the seasons that we are stepping into are seasons that require great discernment. Seasons when you need to interact so much with the genuine that when the false comes, we'll be able to tell that that is false. In Matthew chapter 24 verse 24, it says, for there shall arise false Christs. And I believe that this was talked about this season, and false prophets, and they shall show great signs and wonders, insomuch as if it were possible, they shall deceive the very elect. That whole aspect of deception is going to become a major issue as we, approach the end of the age, or as we shift into a new age. Deception is going to become a major issue. And God's answer to deception is not a mathematical formula, but God's answer to deception is that ability to begin to discern, that ability to raise our capacity to sort of see around corners. I've heard so many stories about people who are deceived, and eventually God did get them back on track, but they lost about 5 years of their lives. They lost about 10 years of their lives. They lost wealth, they lost resource, they lost opportunity, they lost breakthrough, because when deception came, it looked so good, it was packaged so well. It looked like a prophet, but that was a false prophet. It looked like a teacher, but that was a false teacher. It looked like an evangelist, but that was a false evangelist. And it would have taken a man of discernment to be able to tell that this was the wrong path to follow. And in the process of following that path, they got so consumed with these wrong spirits that they lost about 5-10 years of their lives just by a misstep 5 years ago. That 5 years is completely blanked out. What am I trying to say? I'm trying to say that there must be a cry in our hearts for discernment. God, give us the capacity to discern what is of you and what is not of you. Give us the capacity to separate the meat from the bones, that which is genuine and that which is not genuine. And when we begin to discern rightly, then we will be preserved from deception, and our lives, our time and seasons will be redeemed. So this morning, as you step into your day, my prayer for you is pray for a discerning heart. Cry for a discerning heart. Ask God to give you discernment. And when your heart begins to tell you that there's something you don't agree with, you might not be able to put a finger on it. Don't be quick to call it of the devil, but because your heart does not agree with it, take a step back and just operate from a safe place, so that by your discernment, your life will be preserved. Father, this morning we thank you for discernment. We thank you for the spirit of discernment. This morning we cry aloud for discernment. We ask you, Lord, give us a wise and a discerning heart. Help us to discern those who are of you and those who are not of you. Help us to be able to separate truth from false, true prophets from false prophets, true teachers from false teachers, true evangelists from false evangelists. That, Lord, not only would our lives be preserved, but our destinies would be secured. We look forward to a great day in Jesus' name.